Welcome, everyone. Thank you for coming today. Great day for the Trailblazers, here to introduce three of our newest players who we drafted on Thursday night. Wanted to welcome all the families of all the players. It's great to have you all here, and thank you for coming and enjoying this day with us. To my left is Rayan Rupert, Scoot Henderson, Kris Murray, the three newest Trailblazers. Welcome. You know, everyone or most teams, it seems, on draft night, walks out of the draft room and into their press conference and, says they had a great night and they're happy with what they did, and they usually are happy with what they did, and they did have a great night in their opinion. Excuse me. But for us, it was one of those unique draft nights where we had all three of these players ranked in the lottery, and we were fortunate enough to get three of them at very different parts of the draft, but all three players we value extremely highly. So it was a unique way the draft broke for us that just lined up really well with how we had it tiered out. So I'm going to slide over to Chauncey here, and we'll take some questions after that.
Yeah, welcome. Obviously, just to ditto kind of what Joe said, we had an incredible night. We really did. Not often times you have 3, 23, and 43, and you come away with three guys that were invited to the green room. So that's a huge, huge accomplishment. I love to say that for our scouts and everybody who really, most of y'all don't know and probably won't meet, but they've been grinding, they did an incredible job. And then you come out of it with three guys that I value for sure, A lot of y'all know what I believe about the game of basketball. I love guys that are very competitive. I love guys that play with fire, that play on both sides of the basketball. And all three of these guys do that. They're all very dynamic. And so I'm looking forward, to just pouring into them and teaching them the best that I can, And, for us, it's all been about upgrading talent. I'm big on basketball IQ. I'm really big on that. You hear me talk about that all the time. These guys all have that. So I'm really excited about what's ahead and what the future holds. And it's very bright. It's very bright. And congrats to the families. I know this is a day that y'all all been waiting for. I talked to the young men about that. So congratulations to you guys.
Scoot, when was it the first time maybe that you really felt like the NBA was a real possibility for you, or when did you kind of recognize that, like, this is really something I know I can do?
I think when I was in high school, around going into 11th grade, we had the gym next week 360, but that's where it really started to lock in, and I realized my dream was closer than I expected. I got the opportunity to go to the Ignite, and I just maximized my opportunity, and I'm blessed to be here in Portland.
This is for Joe. You talked the other night about Kris falling to you guys. You just mentioned that again. Can you sort of walk through what was going on in your room with everybody when you saw him starting to fall?
A few weeks prior to the draft, started getting a lot of calls about pick 23. Like, I could tell the league was starting to really evaluate and start to figure out the depth that was here in this draft. So there were frequent calls for really the 2 weeks prior about our pick and teams wanting it. And that stayed the same throughout the draft. So as we got into the teens, phones were exploding. Teams were trying to get into the draft, going after not just Kris, but other guys as well. And just a lot of activity, a bunch of different phone calls and discussions. And I think, mentally we had Kris really high on our board, and, you see 5, 6, say we're at pick 18, 17, we're like, man, he can't get that far. And you're just hoping and rooting. And at a certain point, it just, we consider ourselves fortunate that he got to us.
But on the other side, Kris, how are you feeling when you saw your name fall? And then ultimately, how'd you feel when the Blazers drafted you?
Yeah. kind of the whole thing I've been doing in this process is just being patient. So definitely draft night is a night where it can be stressful for a lot of people, and for me, it was just kind of being patient. I knew that I'd end up with an organization that would be a really good fit for me, and the Blazers took that chance on me, and I'm excited for it too.
Rayan, could you talk a little about kind of your basketball journey and how you've reached this point in your career where you're down in the NBA?
Yeah, so I grew up in France. I played 4 years at INSEP Academy. Tony Parker, Evan Fournier played here, so I spent 4 years here. And last year, I made the decision to play in New Zealand, the New Zealand Breakers in NBL. So it was a great opportunity to go up as a player and as a person, play far from my country. So it was an amazing journey, and now I'm happy to be here. I think I'm a two-way player. My first quality is defensively. I just love to be disruptive defensively, play with max energy, bring the most energy I can to my team. And just play far in transition and, just bring energy. That's me.
This is for Scoot. First of all, did you bring my jacket? I'm the one who said I wanted that jacket.
Yeah, I forgot it. My bad.
Oh, okay. Well,
My sister got it.
Next time. I want to ask you about all of the hype around you. I mean, people are using words like transcendent, generational, guaranteed all-star. Like, what does that do to you mentally? Does it fuel you, or does it make you say, whoa, what's going on? Or do you feel it's a little bit too much sometimes?
Honestly, I don't really pay attention to it. It's kind of hard not to see it. Obviously I got social media, but I just always rely on the gym. And I wouldn't have none of this if it wasn't for me, my work ethic. Me coming in every single time. Me coming in days where I didn't want to. So I always just fall back to getting back in the gym. So whenever it is, words like that, generational, special. I know who I am as a person, and that's all that matters.
Rayan, first, can you say your name for us so we know how to say it correctly, first and last? And then Nick Batum has tweeted out a couple of things about you. Obviously, there's the connection there with France. But what is your connection with him personally? And because he was here for so long, is he somebody that you can rely on to help your adjustment to Portland?
Yeah, no, Nick Batum is like a big brother for me. He called me yesterday. And so I know him since 10 years. I did a camp, and I finished MVP on this camp. So I spent 10 days with him when he was in Charlotte. And when he called me yesterday, he just said a lot of good things about the organization, the people here. So and I like his game. I try to learn about him on the court and off the court. So it's like a big bro for me. Oh, so in French we say Rayan Rupert, but it's hard for the English person to say that. But you can say you can say Rayan Rupert. It's hard for me to say in English, but Rayan Rupert, you can say that.
Let me hear you say it. Let me hear you say it, Trav.
Yeah, that's good.
Good job,
Pretty good.
Kris, how much has your relationship with your brother, watching him in the NBA, going through that experience already, kind of been able to feed off that, learn from that, and have that little bit of experience to kind of pull from and have that relationship?
Yeah, it's definitely a unique experience. When your brother, who you're really close to, gets to go through this whole process, and I kind of get to see in the shadows last year just kind of what it all entails. So just little things I learned from him, just kind of, especially not on the basketball side, what is important too. Just kind of how you take care of yourself on and off the court. The biggest thing I learned from him is just kind of just kind of do the same thing every single day. Don't change who you are. And he had a really good group around him last year too, to kind of help him as a rookie, just kind of get used to the environment, used to the game. Definitely learned some things from him. And grateful for it too.
And for Scoot, one of the things that I've heard from great players over time is that when you come into the league with this kind of label, you have to, it's not just about you, it's about what your impact is kind of going forward. You're responsible for other guys. Have you thought about that process of kind of getting that mantle and not just being responsible for your own growth, but eventually being kind of a franchise cornerstone?
Definitely. You know, I'm blessed that I did the 2 years at Ignite as a pro. You know, having to tell, man, Pooh, who's 20 years older than me, where to go on the court. So, something I'm gonna continue to get comfortable with that, and you know, I'm gonna embrace it. You know, that's the thing I could do, embrace that, and embrace that. You know, I got a lot of responsibility, but you know, it comes with just the work ethic. I always go back to that. You know, I work on things like that. You know, just talking and little stuff like that in my game that I think I can really go far in.
Scoot, over here. Well, hey. I had the chance to get to talk to you when you came through on your workout, so just to let you know this is going to happen a lot. I'm going to have a lot of weird questions for you, so let's just get it started today. The grill has become a whole thing. Can you explain to us what the story behind it and why? It's awesome, but why?
Thank you. The grill, I always wanted a grill, so when I had the opportunity, I'm like, okay, it's the perfect night to. And then the colors on it is basically the color of my siblings and my parents' birthstone. So it was four, like 3 of my siblings had like the same kind of birthday month with my mom and dad, my mom and sister, my brother and my dad. So it's like four colors, and then just the fangs. Yeah, there's really no story behind it, but I just always wanted it.
I think that's a great story. It's interesting because when we talked and then I watched you on draft night, the consistency is talking about your family. Why are they so important to you and how have they helped you?
They got me to where I am today. They molded me into the man I am today. And, there's no other way to repay them than, just continue to say thank you and just trying to find different ways to say that. Just hopefully they know how much of an impact they had in my life. There's been plenty of people in my life, but they have always been my foundation. And you can't do nothing without a foundation. It takes a village.
This question's for Scoot. Welcome to Portland. Way in the back, man. ODD, can you explain what that is, what that means?
ODD means overly determined to dominate. I made it up when I was in the car, but I was just trying to find a slogan that represented me and something I could put on everything. And basically, just being able to dominate the day, being able to just basically words that describe me as who I am as a person, and I'm overly determined to be the best version of myself, overly determined to help people around me and impact everybody's life, and that's what it is. It's a way of life. It's not just things on the basketball court, but also being a great human being, being a great business partner, whatever the case may be, but just being overly determined to dominate the day.
See your family rocking the 00. Was there any backstory to that number? Did you pick it, or was it just handed to you?
Honestly, I picked it. I seen the roster, and obviously 0 was taken, but 00 is kind of came full circle. We designed my Puma shoes a year ago, and I put 00 on it, and then literally 2 days ago, I chose the 00. So I guess everything came full circle. God does everything for a reason.
Scoot, you obviously have the connection with Pooh here in Portland. Also, Mookie was with you on draft night. He's just going to be a few hours down the road. Just how nice is it to be moving somewhere where you have a connection with somebody like Pooh already set, and then also having a friend like Mookie?
It's extremely, it's kind of crazy. I came in to be a pro at 17, pretty young, and Pooh just always, believed in me and, helped me throughout, just throughout hard days, through hard games, or whatever the case was. It's very special to have, a guy like Pooh, someone that's going to keep it real with you. And, I kind of felt that first time I came to Portland. My first workout, I just felt love, and the fact that I'm here now, it's a blessing. I appreciate the organization for believing in me, and, I'm for sure repay them, for sure.
Hey, Chauncey, this is a younger team than you first had when you got here 2 years ago, and at least as of today, right? Getting younger. And Joe said on Thursday that he has zero interest in trading Dame, and the goal is to bring Damian back next year. But with the guys you have now and the young core that this team has kind of brought together, how realistic is blending those two cores essentially and winning next year in your mind?
Yeah. Obviously we got work to do, Bill. I'm just so happy that how Thursday turned out, and I think that already, we've upgraded some talent, on our team, and the way that I see these guys is obviously their age, they're pretty young. They don't play that way, you know. Their IQ is different than the normal guy their age. It's a reason why they're here. We handpicked all of them for those reasons, you know. So those young moments and those young things, they'll be minimized with these guys. You know, Scoot just said it. I mean, he's been leading men for 2 years. It's pretty incredible, you know. Kris, you know, you can tell he has a maturity, you know, about him. That he won't be playing like a rookie. You know, when he's out there, he's going to be able to contribute. Rayan play pro in a very, very physical, tough league, you know, in Australia. So I don't feel that these dudes are young. I think that they can all contribute, you know, right away with our team. And obviously, you know, we have, you know, a big few weeks ahead of us in building, you know, the rest of our team out. But I feel very confident that these guys will be able to contribute right away.
Coach, similarly along those lines, last year Shaedon was spectacular, a lot of highlights, but you would talk often about him making a lot of rookie mistakes because he hadn't played since high school, right? Scoot's played in the G League, so is there an obvious gap in what you expect to see from him in terms of feel and understanding, and that you don't expect the same types of mistakes?
Well, there is. I mean, Shaedon was really the last, when we got Shea, the last actual game he played was in high school. You know, he played in high school, then he transferred, I mean, not transferred, but went to Kentucky, never played a game. And then he didn't play in summer league. You know, he got hurt, so he missed some very valuable time to learn the game and learn how we play. He ended up catching up, you know, at some point during the season. I thought we did a good job of kind of speeding him up, but that's not going to be the situation with these guys. They're coming from playing some very important minutes, some very important basketball. So, again, we did a good job of targeting the right type of players, that we knew that learning curve wouldn't be as big. So we're in good shape, man.
Kris, you seemed to make a really big jump last season. Could you talk about kind of that growth from your sophomore to your junior season, and maybe how your game didn't change, but maybe you were just maybe able to show more of your game on both sides of the ball?
Yeah, I think last summer was big for me. Just the opportunities I got and just being able to grow every single year. That's kind of something that the University of Iowa, especially Coach McCaffrey, like really emphasizes, is just getting better every single year. And I felt like I did that freshman year going into my sophomore year, and then sophomore year to my junior year. For me, it was definitely just kind of honing in my skill set and just kind of getting the opportunity to show it a lot more. So I definitely thought I did this past year, and so it was kind of show everything in my game. And I knew that coach trusted me, and that's really all I needed, was that he'd let me play through my mistakes. And mentally, that helped me a lot, just knowing that he trusted me like that. And honestly, just got the opportunity to kind of just show what I could do, and that's kind of what made me take that jump these last few years.
For Joe, just a simple matter of, do you expect all three guys to play at Summer League?
Yes.
And then for each of you guys, for people not familiar with your game, can you just kind of explain through the line just a simple summation of how you expect to impact the team in your rookie years?
Personally, I will try to earn my minute by my energy and my defense at the beginning, you know, do whatever the coach wants me to do to help the team. So that will be what my mentality, and I will keep working on all aspects of my game for sure.
I think I could put pressure on the defense in all kind of ways. Coming as a voice, you know, try to lead by example, and gain that trust from my teammates. Then on the defensive side of the ball, just grow in that aspect, and become one of the premier defenders in the league. So.
Yeah, I think for me it's just my versatility, offensively and defensively. I feel like I can guard multiple positions and play multiple positions, but definitely my basketball IQ. I just think I'm a low mistake kind of guy, and definitely going to grow with these guys these next few months and just get better.
Kris, there's a lot of talk about the youth on this team. You're going to be 23 on opening night. So it's an interesting spot for you that you're older than some of the players that have been on the team for a couple of years, yet you're a rookie with the guys sitting next to you. So in that regard, what do you see a role for you in terms of leadership and learning and kind of blending those things together?
I mean, yeah, I definitely think I can help just with my experience. I'm definitely older and was able to kind of see King go through it last year, so I have some experience that way. But I think for me, it's just I've always been kind of leader by example, someone who I used my voice a little bit more last year, and I think that kind of helped me a lot, just prepare me for the NBA coming up. So I think definitely just having that older presence in the locker room, you could say, will help me out, and I think just help me lead some of the guys like Scoot, Rayan. I think just kind of getting to know these guys a lot more and get familiar with each other. I think we'll have a lot of success, us three down the road, just kind of become that tight-knit group.
Ryan, I know that there's a narrative out there that your agent was actually asking teams to not draft you before the Blazers picked you because they wanted you to come here. What was it like having that all go down and waiting to see if you actually were going to be able to be a Blazer and get here?
It was a little bit stressful at the beginning, but on the second one, when my agent told me, yeah, Portland wants you, I said, yeah, okay, let's go. I want to be a Blazer, and so yeah, I was happy.
Joe, not to belabor this point, but just because it was left hanging on Thursday, have you heard from Damian since he's been in Europe, and have you gotten any feedback on the draft or his hopes for the direction over the next couple weeks?
Last time we spoke directly was while he was in Europe Tuesday, and talked to his agent multiple times every day. We've been staying in close contact. Dame, he's getting back in town, I think, fairly soon, so we'll get together.
Scoot, kind of seen you on draft night and seen you when you were here and you were in Portland. It's very obvious that you have a real joy for the game and an enthusiasm for it. And I'm wondering if you could talk about kind of where you think that might come from or what that feels like. Because, I mean, it seems like there's a real excitement about being Scoot Henderson.
Honestly, I don't know where it comes from, just from playing the game and loving the game. But it feels like, when a kid gets some candy and his mom was like, no, all day, and he finally get a piece of candy. That's kind of what that feeling is. It's kind of hard to describe, but like you said, it's a real joy when I'm on the court. It's a blessing to be there, so why not have fun?